Greetings, ladies, gents, oddies, and all the in-betweens. I'm Crimson the Slave. Welcome to Insomnia Files. My phone's dying, so I'm going to try to make this quick, even though I gotta make up for 2 weeks. Let's go back. Let's go back to 2 weeks ago. So, car stuff, weird things happened, complicated stuff happened, didn't work out. I would have made a video that at the end of that week, but I spent the entire week essentially sick. I went to work, which was actually kind of an accomplishment, and made a lot of progress on getting a car refinanced, in complete honesty. But between being sick and what kind of happened in the end of it, I just didn't like making a video on Sunday. That and my Mac was already gone. But that's kind of beyond the point. I spent the entire next week essentially throwing up constantly. And that kind of leads to a lot of other things I don't feel like getting into at the moment. So we're just going to skip past that and explain that I'm in Florida now. The reasons behind it, I'll probably make a thing about it. It'll probably be in the end of the year video, which is 2 months away. So that'll be a fun thing to get figured out if I can get the editing figured out, how I'm going to put that into a thing. The important part is I'm in Florida now. And I will say that my first 24 hours in Florida were eventful because got to the plane, went to the airport. Once I got there, I had an hour and a half before I had to get on my plane. And I realized that I left a lot of important stuff in Delaware, like my cell phone cord or the charger for my Apple Watch and my recharger from Skull Candy. So I essentially got to the airport, had a 2-hour flight, and essentially had a 2-hour flight to Fort Lauderdale, got there, and I put my phone in airplane mode thinking my mom would be outside when I got to the thing, and unfortunately she wasn't. Now, I flew to Florida the week of a hurricane. I think it was Hurricane Ian, But anyway, Hurricane Ian was there. Because of that, my family decided that because of the weird road conditions and everything else, it would be super hard to come get me. So their plan was to put me on a bus at 11 o'clock at night to get me there. And that would have been a 7-hour bus ride. But unfortunately, because of me walking out of the airport to hopefully get into a car with a dying cell phone, I point out, I didn't know that this busing was a thing. So because I didn't really know what else to do, I rented a car. I'll be important in a second. So rented a car and drove. Okay, I rented a car. And then I drove about 45 minutes, give or take, before I got into a car accident. Luckily, it was a no-fault car accident, and it was super interesting because the car accident, I got hit trying to avoid another accident. Hilarious. And that's interesting because essentially nothing happened. A car accident. But then, like, 2 things happened. One, the car that I rented was hit. Weird and annoying. But it happened, but it was no fault to me. I got to learn something about Florida. I learned that Florida doesn't have state troopers. There's something called the Florida, what is it called? Florida something? Driving something? Apparently Florida has like this entire setup. Like, it's just like people on call that's just in charge of car accidents. And I got to talk to a bunch of people. And yeah, so the car accident was fun. I will admit, one thing happened. I cracked a tooth. I cracked this tooth back here. Completely in two. Because I was driving, listening to the girl that played with fire. Yeah, girl, listening to the girl play with fire. And just 10 minutes before I got a car accident, I stopped, got myself some Wendy's. And when I basically had to wait for the car accident to someone to show up, I took a bite of a sandwich and whatever my tooth came out. An hour and a half later, all the paperwork and everything got figured out, and I was able to leave. And got home, ate the rest of my Wendy's at 3 o'clock in the morning, and cracked my other tooth and cracked the other half of the tooth. Weird stuff. Interesting enough, it doesn't hurt that bad. But yeah, made it to my grandparents' house and almost immediately passed out on their couch. The next morning, I found out that both of my uncles were apparently super busy. So my mom, my grandparents had to come with me to get the car. I had to turn the car back to the airport. For me, this was kind of easy because it was another 4-hour drive. Wasn't that big of a deal for me to make. And I think that was actually fine. I think one thing that the bad part is my mom took 6.5 hours to pick me up because she had to stop twice and get gas because of how she rationalizes out getting gas. So that happened. And then basically came back. My grandparents concerned that I didn't bring any clothes with me because all of my stuff's in Delaware. I don't know exactly I'm going to go. Don't know exactly when I'm going to have a plan to go get it, essentially. So that also sucks. But I got this shirt. It's a Bob's Burger shirt from Target. And I got a pair of shorts and a pair of pants. And got a pair of shorts and some essential clothes. And that was mostly the main highlight of me getting here. The rest of the week, I've basically been trying to figure out some things. Car stuff has come, I wouldn't say to mind, but stuff has to be figured out with it. What else is there? I will say, a lot of things are fun. A lot of things aren't fun. But I would say that getting here has been seriously uncoordinated. And Florida, despite just missing a hurricane, isn't that bad. I will say that some of my reservations with my family may be different than I originally thought. One of my uncles is exactly how I think he is, and my other uncle is maybe a little bit different. But I haven't talked to him in like 10 years, maybe more. So it's possible that my opinion of him could have been wrong. But there's that. So I'm never judgment on my family. I will say that I've sat through a few arguments, some infighting, and weird biases, Christianity, and a lot of things that I wasn't exactly enthused about coming here for have been interesting. And I think that's pretty much it. My week's been that. But besides that, I don't really have a lot to say or do about these things. I'm just kind of riding this wave out. So there's that. Some stuff that has happened that's been good. New music. Andreas put out a new song called Chemistry Shot. Good song. Trying to find a song I was listening to. I realized that there's a band called As It Is. Super liking their stuff. I might listen to more of their things. Emerosa put out a new song. Emerosa put out a new song. Let's put out a new song. Emerosa put out a new song. Alright put out a new song. Liking those. But I don't really have a lot to add to any of this. It's just kind of been a weird week. This week coming, despite everything, I only have 2 real plans. And the first part of that plan is to figure out my medical stuff. Because I have full medical information. I just need to figure out how I'm going to get it transferred from Delaware to Florida. I don't know if that's a problem I should worry about. 'Cause I would like to get something done about the tooth, and I do need to cancel some appointments I was going to have in October. Something I need to figure out too. But yeah, that's all I really have. It's been a lot of stuff. I'm sure next week I'll have a little bit more. I'll have more stuff hopefully figured out. But until then, that's all I really got. Talk